Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. How are we all doing on this early Wednesday morning? This is Reganelite here. Hello, everyone. Good morning. It is 8 a.m., not 11 a.m., believe it or not, here on Good Morning with Reganelite, here on Wednesday, the 26th of. Oh, I can hear myself there. On the 26th of November. 8 a.m. UK time. We are dual streaming live on youtube.com/ReganElite and on twitch.tv/ReganElite1. Excuse me. For those who are new to this live stream and don't know how this works, what we normally do here, so we go about an hour long and we look at the daily quota, we look at the weather, and then we look at and read up on what's happening in the news. We're going to start with some world news before we go into some UK news. I wasn't going to cover UK news, but I figured given there's so much going to be happening today, there's going to be a lot. Just to remind people as well that the reason why we're having the Good Morning show now and not having it at 11 a.m. is because I will be covering Prime Minister's questions. I will also be covering the budget, which means it's going to be at least potentially 2 hours long. So me sitting in this chair for 2 hours straight is not ideal. And I also want to make sure that I have something to eat before I cover both those things, because it's going to be a lot of detail to take in. And I don't want to get a migraine either. And also we also have the usual live stream in 12 hours time, Reganelite's watch along show, which we watch and react to videos, and most of it will be around the budget as well as other things as well. Good morning, Billy Kershaw and Ron Angry Pagan. Nice to see both of you up early. I know not a lot of people are going to be coming out of their ways to get up to be up early. Some people won't be watching, but if they do go out of their I do appreciate people coming out of their way. Some people getting up to watch this. Some people are already asking us to remain fast asleep, and that's totally fine as well. So, like I said, we only go for about an hour long. So what we can do is, once this show is over, if you guys want to go into Graham Hughes' Morning Brew, you guys can do that as well. And then you can obviously at 10:30 then check out Dave McGuinness and his show there, guys. I have not slept, says Pagan. What have you been doing then? You haven't been sleeping. What's wrong with you? You haven't slept at all. I hope you need sleep. Sleep is important for you. Although I have been told there is this saying that someone once said to me that who needs sleep when you can sleep when you can sleep when you're dead, or that sleep is the cousin of death, and which is kind of true, to be fair. But the problem is that our energy levels dissipate if we don't sleep. I mean, there are ways of mitigating sleep, but yeah. I mean, I tend to do roughly around about my sleep pattern is around about 6-7 hours max. It should be about 8, but I normally hit the sack at about after 11 o'clock, between 11 past midnight. By then I'm already knocked out. I always tend to wake up at 6 a.m. anyway, but obviously this morning was very different because obviously I'm preparing this live stream, and I've got lots of work to do. I just also want to make clear as well, I have recorded short videos already ready for tomorrow. I'm just literally need to upload them, and then they'll be ready. They'll be ready for members before 12 o'clock today, because I'm going to be doing them after this live stream. And if I get time, I'll record 4 more live shorts today. But I want to be careful with my voice today because I'm going to be using it a lot today. So here is today's live stream. So I'm not going to be doing any screaming and shouting today on this live stream if you guys are expecting that. And the reason why is because I want to save my voice because it's going to be a long day for me. So no matter how terrible the story is, I'm going to be saving my voice today. So today's daily quota is from Rummy here for the 26th of November. And it is your road and it is yours alone. Others may walk it with you, but no one can walk it for you. It is your road and yours alone. Others may walk it with you, but no one can walk it for you. This is true. Your life and your path is your own. Other people can walk alongside you, but you have to walk it on your own. It's a really, really important point to make, you know. Interesting one for tomorrow. In a weird sort of way, it kind of relates to budget day today as well. In a weird sort of way. And I say a weird sort of way, to be fair, as well. Let's have a look at today's weather here. Me mates lost it and went psycho. On him and his mum in alcohol. Been talking to me mates for 4 hours to make sure he's okay. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, my friend. I'm so sorry to hear about people in despair. Mind racing too much to sleep after that. Oh, I'm so sorry. It's terrible to hear such things. I'm sorry to hear that story, Pagan. Let's have a look at today's weather, guys. Here is the world. Here it is today at 6 o'clock with the winds on. Zoom a little bit in here. Good morning, Lost Missionary. Hope you are doing well. Hope you slept well. Here are some of the weather patterns for the rest of the world there. I don't think the BBC updates the weather in other parts of the world. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that, because most of those weather temperatures are the same. They twitched them a little bit, actually, to be fair. Some of them they tinker with, but most they don't. Most they don't. Yeah, still hot weather in Australia, New Zealand, Beijing, cold, Tokyo, okay, Philippines, very warm, Colombia 25 there, Cape Town 22, very hot in South America and in Chile, Mexico City, Miami very warm 28, Yellowknife minus 14 there, San Francisco 12, New York 16, Ottawa 4 there. You can see a big snowstorm right in the center there. But I believe that's Illinois. Correct me if I'm wrong. Normally Illinois gets snowstorms around this time as well. New Delhi 13 there, Tehran 12. There's a couple of others there. Iceland. You're not going to tell me Iceland, computer? There we go. Reykjavik 1 degrees there. Oh, there's quite a fascinating snowstorm up there. Moskva at minus 8. Oslo negative 2. St. Petersburg minus 3. Moscow 1 over there. Just coming to Europe here. Madrid 6. Lisbon 13. Rome 9. Nice 12. They've got some rain again. And a little bit of snow looks like coming towards the Italian capital there. Bern 1 there with once again snow dropping over the Alps, over the Swiss Alps there. Zagreb 5, Tirana 13 there, Istanbul 17, Bucharest 9, Kiev a bit more warmer at 11 degrees there, Vienna 3, Prague 0, Berlin 2, Warsaw 2. I did mention this snowstorm yesterday, and here it is here, this big snowstorm here, and you can see the temperatures for it there, Moscow 1, Vilnius 0 there. You can see it's going to be very, very cold along many parts of Europe here, even Paris 4 degrees there, Oslo there minus 2. Zoom a little bit further in here. We got some of these temperatures here. Berlin 2, Brussels 3, Paris 4 there. Looking at the UK in particular here, we can see in some parts this morning, most of this morning, it's still chilly. So we got, these are the temperatures currently, what we're going to be experiencing right now, most temperatures. 2, 2, 0, 3, so very cold in some parts, warmer in Ireland. But I think the rain is quite warm. It's warm weather rain is what I think it is. If I'm going to be honest, I think it's warm weather rain, because it does feel like the temperatures go up as we go late into the night, where it's supposed to normally temperature. So I think this is warm weather. This is a warm weather pattern of rain that's coming over. It's not just rain. It's actually warm rain. Because if you look at the temperatures really do increase here. Like I said, yeah, these temperatures are going to increase later on for today. Going into it, as we can see, the rain is going to come over. So if you're not getting rain now, you're going to get rain over the course of the day in some parts. So do take a brolly, do take a raincoat with you, whatever your plans are for today. Going into the evening, there you can see the temperatures significantly increased from this morning there. Even going overnight from Wednesday night into Thursday morning, you can see again, despite there's going to be lots of rainstorms up in Scotland and parts of England there, you can see the temperatures are much warmer compared to what they are right now here. So moving into Thursday morning here, you can see those temperatures there. Look at that. 12, 13, 11, 10 degrees. It's insane for those temperatures there. Absolutely insane to have these kind of warm temperatures for late November, but that's what we're getting, guys. Moving a bit more further on into Thursday there's going to be some scattered rains and showers around parts of Thursday there as well. But we can see there mainly temperatures are going to be ranging roughly the same. Again, 11, 12, 13 degrees in some parts there. Thursday overnight as well. No real snow, but mainly just some rain in some parts there. Winds. There's some high winds going to be in Ireland and Edinburgh there. A bit more lower winds in parts of England there and Wales there from the looks of it there. Moving into Friday though, there are going to be some forecasts of some snow falling overnight in parts of Scotland. There we can see overnight on Friday morning, early Friday morning. But temperatures again remain roughly the same. There will be a slight dip in temperatures as we can see here. Moving in here. So Friday morning here we can see some of the temperatures going to dip a little bit, but they're going to go back up again. They're going to go back up again to Friday afternoon. You can see the temperatures. Yep, they are still cold, but not as cold as it is today. But again, it looks like, yeah, so it's going to be a dip in temperatures a little bit again, down to 7 Friday evening. Then moving into Saturday morning, from Friday night into Saturday morning, those temperatures drop again. So we're going to see the dip in the temperatures. So pretty much by the end of today, you're going to feel the temperatures warm up. And then the next day, next few days, you're going to feel it for a couple of days till Friday. And then Friday will gradually start losing that warm temperature again. And so into Saturday, you can see here, early Saturday morning here, you can see those temperatures dropping there. And I mentioned this yesterday, but there's a big rainstorm coming early Saturday morning. It's going to hit parts of England, southern Wales there, and as well as all of London, pretty much the south of England. While the rest of the UK is going to get avoid it. There's some nice dry spells there for them, but you can see that temperatures there, very, very chilly temperatures there. It will, and then Saturday night into Sunday morning, you can see very cold temperatures again. They're very, very cold temperatures. London 5, Cardiff 4, Manchester 3, Dublin and Belfast 2, Edinburgh very cold 1 there. So Saturday night into Sunday morning, it's going to be very, very cold there. So please be aware of that as we move into that day there. So those are some of the temperatures we're going to be experiencing over the next couple of days. So today you're going to see over the course of the day, the temperature is going to increase. There's also going to be rain, which I predict is going to help warm the weather around us. I do think it's warm rain, not just rain, because as the rain comes through, the temperatures also increase. And you'll notice tonight that even though last night was cold, it's going to be still cold, but it's not going to be as cold as it has been. And you'll notice that when you go to bed tonight. So you may be able to get away without the heating tonight. So just the next couple of days, you may be able to get away with the heating, depending on where you're located in the UK. So bear that in mind tonight. So yeah, that's a good. So if you're trying to save on energy bills, tonight will be a good, probably a good day to. You could probably get away with turning off the heating tonight, guys. This is a very good thing there. So. Freaks, likes and blessings. Yes, freaks, likes and blessings to you all. In the chat. Right, let's have a look at some of the world news, guys, before we go to some of the UK news here. Good morning, Matty Von Erich. Hope you are doing well. Just for reference, Matty Von Erich, I'm pretty sure I've added you as a moderator on Twitch stream if I need it. You, Mad Monk, and Alistair Key have all been added as moderators on Twitch stream now. So, so obviously, if there's any problems, if you guys don't mind popping over there whenever I get Troublemaker and whatnot, it'd be greatly appreciated. Stephen Banker, good morning to you as well. Hope you are doing well. So here is some of the world news. I mean, some of this news may be some of it that we talked about yesterday as well, just for reference. If you didn't see the global news, I have timestamped it as well for people who missed that live stream, just for reference as well. So at least 10 people have been killed in Indonesia flood landslides there. Rivers in Santa Media are racing to find survivors after floods and landslides killed at least 10 people. 10 lives lost here. Look at this level of water. Absolutely insane. This is yesterday. This is yesterday there. Torrential and monsoon rains have set off destructive floods and landslides across Indonesia's Somalia islands, killing at least 10 people and leaving half a dozen other missing, according to local authorities. days of relentless rainfall since Monday forced rivers in North Somali province to overflow, sending mud, rocks, and uprooted trees crashing through villages in 6 residencies. The National Police said on Wednesday that rescue teams were struggling to reach isolated communities such as damaged roads, unstable slopes, and persistent downpours continue to slow operations. Authorities said 5 bodies and 3 injured survivors were recovered in the coastal city of Singbalia, the area hit hardest by the flooding. Search teams are looking for 4 missing residents as damage assessments continue. In neighbouring central Talabi, landslides crushed several homes, killing at least 4 members of one family, while severe flooding submerged nearly 2,000 houses and public buildings. And further south, floods and falling trees killed 1 resident in South Tanabe and injured another there. Let's just have a look here. Is this going to show? I'm going to mute it here. Oh my God! There you go. Flooding's. Jesus. This is 2 days ago. That was 2 days ago from today, and you can see the flooding. Absolutely insane. What they have to go through. My dad once told me, and I still hold that to this day, that you don't know how lucky you are. And look what these people have to go through, guys. Absolutely horrendous. Incredible. All because of the floods. Showering water courses over rooftops, families scrambled to higher grounds. In some neighbourhoods, flash floods flowed so quickly that streets turned into violent currents carrying tree trunks, household items and rubbles. Jesus. This has got another video here.
People wade through rising floodwaters in Thailand's southern city, Hat Yai. Authorities issued a red flag evacuation order for more than 100 communities on Monday, with heavy rain expected for the next 3 days. Major transport links have ground to a halt, although some still managing to get to higher ground. In central Thailand, the ancient capital of Ayutthaya is also battling floods. Roads turned into canals.
Jesus.
The water is deep as 3 meters in some areas. The ancient temples and stupas now under threat, but more importantly, the human cost.
At first I thought it wouldn't flood, but when it did, it was very fast.
In central Vietnam, some relief from the rain, but the waters remain high in many areas. Dozens of people have died, more than 200,000 homes flooded. In other areas, the military have been drafted in to clean up. The economic costs are expected to exceed $8 billion.
Now there's nothing left in the house. Only the TV isn't wet. Everything else is completely soaked.
In that other house, a man climbed onto the metal roof. He cut a hole through it to get his wife and kids out, but he died. His body was laying there for 2 days. It's heartbreaking.
Overnight, emergency workers battled raging torrents. Several people remain unaccounted for, and a number of families are still trapped in their homes. In the light of day, the extent of the damage is clear. Vietnam's military is running airdrops into the affected areas to bring in essential supplies. Tony Chang, Al Jazeera.
In situations like this, I really do mean this, guys. Money should not be a factor when it comes to dealing with these flood defences. It comes with protecting ourselves from the tropical weathers. Now, it's also important, worth pointing out that, yes, climate change has made things worse, and I do accept that. But I feel like what measures are being taken to ensure that they minimize as much damage as possible, as well as protecting human lives from these tragedies. And I'm not just talking about the nations here. I'm talking about, because these happen on a regular occurrence every year in these parts of the world. And I do ask myself this question of what our government is doing to prevent this kind of damage, this kind of cost. What lengths are they going? That's a question that I ask myself, and I keep coming around to this answer of, well, they're clearly not prioritizing the needs of the people here, and people are suffering because not enough has been done, whether it is not ensuring that enough flood defences are in, not ensuring the adequate resources are there. For me, it's more about prevention rather than just reaction, and it feels like to me a lot of governments in these parts of the world, when these happen, tend to do reactionaries rather than looking at more preventable measures, here. Now, again, I do stress, of course, climate change is changing things, and I accept that. But I do think, yeah, they need to be looking at ways of doing more preventable work rather than just reactionary work to prevent the lives that are being lost here. I know it's not as simple as that, but I do question like the governments in these nations and what they are doing to do more to prevent them. It's all well and good, yeah, reacting to it here, but what are we doing to make sure that the next one that happens, that we don't lose lives, to prevent them? And I think that's a big criticism that I have of these governments when it comes to dealing with these floods in particular. What about the environmental damage done by such floods? And this is where, yeah, and you're absolutely right, and that goes back to prevention. What are we doing to prevent them? Yes, with the reactions, we need to obviously react to them, but what are we doing to ensure that we don't get into that situation in the first place is the question that we should be asking ourselves. Really, money, I know these countries don't have a lot of money, but money should not be a factor when it comes to making sure that we're protecting businesses, we're protecting the economy, because when these things happen, they severely damage the economy. Where in June, it also damages the budgets here for these nations. So, if by logical sense, yeah, if you're Indonesian or Vietnam government, regardless of what kind of regime that you're under, it makes logical sense to protect these. To protect these businesses, the residents and people, because it damages the economy. If your priority is obviously greed and money, you want to protect the wealth that's coming in. Well, you're not helping yourself by allowing these businesses and whatnot to damage, and it takes ages to recover from all this as well. So other stories here from Al Jazeera. Russian drone attack wounds 19 in Ukraine as US-led peace talks ramp up. Israel pushed to displace thousands of Palestinians from the West Bank. More being pushed out here. An Israeli settler gestures as he argues with a Palestinian farmer, not pictured during the olive harvest in Swinland near Ramagab. In the occupied West Bank, much like the Gaza Strip, Israel's policy is forcing thousands of Palestinians from their home in stark defiance of international law. In a report published last week by Human Rights Watch, it highlighted the expulsion of 32,000 Palestinians from their home in just 3 refugee camps this year. HRW said the Israeli operation in the Jen, North Sham and Takarum refugee camps, which began in January, led to the biggest mass displacement of Palestinians in the West Bank since 1967. Displacement comes as Israeli violence spirals in the West Bank, where more than 1,000 Palestinians have been killed by Israel since October 7, 2023, and the start of Israel's genocidal war on Gaza, and Israelis living in illegal settlements launched increasingly violent attack on Palestinians. In Area C, part of the occupied West Bank, even without symbolic Palestinian administrative control, the United Nations reported early in November that more than 1,000 Palestinians were displaced when Israel demolished their homes, with a further 500 people made homeless in occupied East Jerusalem. Israel cited a lack of permits for the demolitions, but building permits are notoriously hard to obtain for Palestinians in those areas. That's because the authorities won't give it to them there. Let's be honest here. Saying money shouldn't be a factor isn't going to be a truth. It's always going to be. Well, you can't just let this continue. I appreciate the comment, Lost Missionary. Good morning, Alex Adams. Hope you're doing well. This is still continuously happening, and it's important. And I'm grateful for Al Jazeera and the likes of Middle East and I, who continue to highlight this on a daily basis, what's happening in the Middle East, because Western media will not want to talk about it, as we know. Cuba condemns aggressive US stance towards Venezuela as tensions rises. Cuba's had their say on this all. Cuba has accused the United States of preparing a violent intervention in Venezuela as Washington expands its military presence and considers more aggressive options against President Nicolas Maduro. We appeal to the people of the United States to stop this madness, Cuba's foreign ministry said in a statement on Tuesday. He cautioned that the US government could cause an incalculable number of deaths and create a scenario of violence and instability in the hemisphere that would be unimaginable, adding that such actions would breach international law as well as the United Nations Charter. The condemnation comes as the US President weighs additional actions against Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, and the White House refusing to rule out more forceful measures. The Trump administration has repeatedly accused Maduro of leading a campaign to smuggle drugs in the US, even though he has not provided any evidence to back his claim. And this is what I've said. There's no evidence to support the claim that they're doing this. That Venezuela and Nicolas Maduro, despite my views on Nicolas Maduro as a president and some of the things that he has done, unless you have evidence to back it up, it's very hard for me to believe anything coming from this Trump administration. Over the past 2 months, the US has bombed 21 boats in the Caribbean Sea and the Pacific Ocean, killing at least 83 people. It claimed that those boats were involved in drug trafficking, but authorities have released no evidence showing narcotics were present. And legal scholars argue that even if drugs were found, the attacks would likely still violate international law. They are a violation of international law because there's no evidence to support them, and it's not in US waters. It's in the Caribbean waters, which they do not hold control over. Indonesia's Jakarta is now the world's largest city. Tokyo falls to third, according to the UN. Trump says China's Xi Jinping agrees to accelerate purchases of US goods. The US will charge non-residents $1,000 to visit its most popular national parks. Its spike in fees for non-US residents come as National Park Service's budget face potential cuts next year. This is a terrible decision by the US. It's bad enough, for people to come, for people to be able to visit the US. They've already lost a lot of non-US tourists as a result of some of the actions that ICE have been taking here. But now with this, you're compounding the situation even more. People will be even more further put off from coming to America. More people will travel to Canada. Canada will have an increase in tourism. In fact, I believe they've had an increase in tourism since the ICE raids began by the Trump administration. People are much more inclined to travel elsewhere and then travel in other parts of the world than the US. And this is only going to compound it here. Like $100. Is that on top of what you normally pay for them? Yeah, it's implementing a new America First entry fee policy that will charge non-US residents without an annual pass $1,100 per person as its 11 most visited national parks. The charge was announced on Tuesday by the Department of Interior, which oversees the national park system as part of its 2026 fee scheme. The price of an annual park pass for non-US residents will rise from $80 to $250, it said. No, I'm just like, where is the incentive for me to go to America with this? Aims to put American families first. These policies ensure that US taxpayers already support the national park system continuing to enjoy affordable access, while international visitors contribute their fair share to maintaining and improving our parks for future generations, Burnham says. All this is going to do is put people off. People will go. People still want. If people have the money, they will go. But most people don't have the money. So some people will just not go. Like this puts me off visiting America. It just adds to it. Parks affected by the fee hikes include the Great Smoky Mountains National Park in Tennessee, North Carolina, Zion National Park in Utah, and the Grand Canyon National Park in Arizona. Luckily, I'm very fortunate to have been to the Grand Canyon. That's one thing I'm very grateful to have done. The Great Smoky Mountains is the most visited U.S. national park in 2024. Previously offered free entry to all visitors, although it charged $5 per day, $15 per week, or $40 per year for parking. Zion previously charged between $20 and $30 for standard entry passes, while the Grand Canyon charged $35 per private car or $20 per person. Yet, even as the Trump administration sought to justify the increased fees for non-US residents as a way to shore up finances for America's national parks, it's also cut resources previously allocated for them. Earlier this year, Trump proposed slashing the $1 billion in funding from the National Park Service. The figure has since been revised, but the Park Budget Service could face potential budget cuts in 2026. It's not good. It's really, really not good. Yeah, they have some amazing national parks, and it's a real shame that people are going to be put off it by these, by them. Really, really terrible. Right, let's have a look and see what the Associated Press is saying. We will come to UK news before we wrap up this show, guys. Trump said he's sending his envoy to see Putin and Ukrainians after fine-tuning plans to end the war. US envoy coached Putin's aide on how Russian leaders should pitch Trump on Ukraine's peace plan. US Army Secretary takes unlikely role as key negotiator push to end Russia-Ukraine war. I said it last night and I said it here. Unless Russia changes its position on territories, Ukraine will not accept it. Ukraine are not going to accept the loss of territory. If Russia pummels Ukraine's energy system, Kiev's hopes the US gas will fill the gap. More people are addicted to marijuana, but few of them are seeking help, experts say. When people are suffering from stress, mental health, anxiety, worrying about their bills, people are going to turn to drugs to help keep them going. When people are struggling, what is the cost of living crisis? And there is a cost of living crisis in the US, not just the UK. Death of Florida teenager on Carnival cruise ruled a homicide. My condolences to friends and family of that lost one. FBI seeks interview with Democrats who urge US troops to defy illegal orders. Healthcare plans circulated by the White House runs into familiar GOP divisions. DACA recipients are being arrested despite deportation protections. There's a story that Kash Patel could be getting kicked. Trump is not happy with Kash Patel and how he's been running things as FBI director, I've heard. That story's been going around recently. I didn't cover it last night, but I did see it late last night before I went to bed. Court officials dismissed Justice Department's misconduct complaint against the federal judge in DC as well. Oh, God. Damn reflux. I think I'm going to try and pick up some Gaviscon before the budget as well. Sellers in other countries struggle to maintain US customers as holiday shopping season starts. Taiwan puts $40 billion towards building a defensive dome and buying US weapons. I think that makes logical sense for Taiwan to build a defensive dome to protect themselves against China. Totally makes sense. National park to raise fees for millions of international tourists to popular US park. Yeah, we talked about that already. Budget. We'll come to the budget in a bit. Any other stories here that we haven't seen? A Slender Man attacker won't fight extradition to Wisconsin after fleeing group home. America eyes Thanksgiving travel weather after Texas tornado, snow and rain elsewhere. Yeah, there's some weather patterns taking place, but that's natural for them. Thousands of Cubans struggling without power and water nearly a month after Hurricane Melissa. Nearly a month. What is the Cuban government doing here? What it's been after almost a month since Hurricane Melissa. What are they doing to help the people? It's absolutely terrible. Excuse me. What are we doing to help these people? Pope Leo visits Turkey and Lebanon on the first foreign trip. He's going to Lebanon. Wow, Lebanon. That's definitely brave. When is this? When is he visiting? This was today. Pope Leo embarks his first foreign trip, pilgrimage to Turkey and Lebanon, dedicated under any circumstance, but it's even more fraudulent given Middle East tensions and media glare. Now document history to Americans Pope on the road. Planning to make the trip important anniversary Orthodox Church in Turkey. In Lebanon, he'll try to boost the long-suffering Christian community as well as Lebanese to all faiths who demand justice for the 2020 Beirut port blast. Yeah, that was absolutely horrible. Leo spent 12 years as superior for his Christian religion, 2 decades. Missionary in Peru said he loves to travel. In recent weeks, he has shown both diplomatic and linguistic dexterity in answering questions on the fly from reporters. The trip has been closely covered by US media with all major US networks. It says they're travel following his speech. See, Israel will be told not to fire. Israel will be told not to do any attacks on Lebanon while he's visiting. He'll be told. There's a Turkish media round out the paper panels. 80 journalists. Man, he's got quite an entourage of journalists who will be following the Pope around. Anytime the Pope travels, it's a big deal. Yeah, it is. For an American Pope on these first foreign trips, it's an even bigger deal. He says, especially on statured American media ecosystem where Leo has emerged as something of a foil to the Trump administration's crackdown on immigrants. They're still driving coverage here because of his engagement with one of the most important issues we're facing, which is migration. Yeah, because he's American, it's a lot more fascinating to the American media. So they're going to be looking at it like crazy, aren't they? Good morning, Ellie. Hope you are doing well. Hi all. I've been awake just for 40 seconds. 40 seconds. That's all right. Good morning. I hope you are. Hope you slept well. I generally mean that. I hope everyone slept well. I really sincerely mean that. Leo has shown himself to be far more prudent and diplomatic to his predecessors, but maybe he'll do something crazy. Like, who am I to judge? I generally mean this. Like, I hope his visits to Turkey and, more importantly, Lebanon goes well. I really do mean that. Really, really do mean that. What other stories they've got here, just out of curiosity? Federal Bureau said a failing prison concrete is forcing the close of prison in Los Angeles. Thanksgiving. Eruption of long dormant Ethiopian volcano subsides. Yeah, was this yesterday? No, this was today. Volcanic activity in northern Ethiopia's long dormant volcano subsidized yesterday, days after eruption left a trail of destruction in nearby villages called fly cache after ash plumes disrupting high altitude flight paths. Long dormant after being sent high skies. This was on. Oh, it was on Sunday. It went off. 1 second, guys. Let me see if we can get some footage. Let me see if we can get some footage for you guys. Oh, wow. That's very close there, that shot. Almost too close, I would say. Almost too close. Almost too close. Yeah, dozens of flights cancelled and whatnot around there. Cross fingers that, yeah, it's caused disruption, but looks like no lives have been lost, which is a good sign. Right, let me run through quickly the other stories. Let me just run through these two quickly and then go to... We're going to talk about the budget and whatnot. We're going to be covering it later on anyway. Africa news, let's just see if anything here, guys. UK Prime Minister calls for global pressure to stop slaughter in Sudan. Thai woman found alive in a coffin before her cremation at a temple. African and European leaders pledged to boost trade and tackle migration. And that's in Angola. Heavy rains flood Gaza camps worsening humanitarian crisis. The ICC here closing arguments in suspected CAR militia leader case. Vatican reaffirms monogamy amid African bishops' monogamy concerns. World marks International Day for the elimination of violence against women and girls. Amnesty International says the RSF committed war crimes in Sudan to do far. Tehran's severe pollution forces schools closures and limits traffic. Russian strikes on Kiev leave at least 6 dead and dozen injured there. Those are some of the stories there from African news. Like I said, we're going to blitz through them because we have a look at some of the UK news this morning. Kiev Independent. Drone strikes in Russian Shabosky. Reports say electronic warfare plant has been hit again. Yeah, Ukrainian drone strikes are really hurting Russia. You don't hear it as, which is good. Trump walks back Ukrainian deadline, says 28-point peace plan was just a map. US President Donald Trump said there is no specific deadline for Ukraine to accept the initial draft of 28-point proposal. The deadline for me is when over Trump told reporters aboard Air Force One. Yeah, because he was told that he wasn't going to get it. He knew he wasn't going to get it there. Ukraine agrees to cap its army at 800,000 in reverse US peace plan. The Financial Times has reported. Interesting. Very interesting. Coalition of the Willing meets, agrees to robust security guarantees for Ukraine amid peace talks. The absolute conditions for a good peace is set on very robust security guarantees, and not paper guarantees. Ukraine shares promises that were shattered by a successive Russian aggression, and real rock-solid guarantees are necessary, French President Emmanuel Macron has said. Donetsk and maybe a landslot. Wickoff promises Russian aid. He could sway Trump, pressure Ukraine into a peace deal that on secret phone calling. President will give me a lot of space and discretion will get a deal. US Special Envoy Steve Witkoff told top EU Kremlin aide Yuri Ushakov in a recorded phone call obtained by Bloomberg. Oh my God, that's embarrassing. So what did he say in the secret recording? Now, me to you, I know what it's going to take to get a peace deal done, Donetsk, and maybe a landslop somewhere. But I'm saying instead of talking like that, let's talk more hopeful, because I think we're going to get a deal here. And I think Yuri, he will give me a lot of space and discretion to get the deal. Zelensky is coming to the White House on Friday. I will go to that meeting because they want me there. I think if possible, we'll have a call with your boss before that Friday morning. Well, we need the maximum, don't you think? What do you think? Otherwise, what's the point of passing anything on? Reports, no, look, I think we'll make this paper from our position. I'll informally pass it along, making it clear it's all informal. I don't think they'll take exactly our version, but at least it'll be as close as possible. They might twist it there. There's a risk. Oh, all right, never mind. We'll see. Yeah, he thinks... yeah, Ukraine can't make concessions on the land. See, this is an example of the conversations being made without Ukraine here. I don't know how the hell Bloomberg got recordings of that, but that's really embarrassing. It's crazy that they got footage of that. Got that. Built before the war, shattered overnight. Kiev distribution center hit hard by Russian strikes. Ukraine reportedly destroyed 2 Russian aircraft, including a rare A-60 laser platform, apparently. In November, to finalise peace plans. So it's supposed to be a visit before the end of this month, apparently. From them there. Okay. Well, leave it there. Well, I'm sure we'll catch up on it there, guys. So, the budget. It's coming. Just a reminder for you guys, for those who have just come in, if you're not aware already, I will be covering Prime Minister's questions and the budget later on today. This is why the Good Morning Show is happening now and not at 11 a.m. because I need to prepare for the budget and Prime Minister's questions. What do you mean? And people will say, well, what do you mean, Regan? You don't need to prepare for it. All you need to do is cover it. Well, I actually need to have something to eat, something to drink, and whatnot before I actually sit down here, because I'm going to be sitting in this chair for 2 hours, if not a bit longer, depending on how long the Chancellor waffles. So, yeah, I do need to have that. So I can't do the Good Morning Show at 11 a.m. and then cover Prime Minister's questions and cover the budget, because that's like more than 2.5 hours. And that's quite a strain on my computer, to be fair, there. So that's why we're doing the show now. We're going to finish at 9 o'clock, which means that those who want to check out the Morning Brew with Graham Hughes can go and do that once this show ends here. I'm going to obviously pop out of this chair, head out, and head down to the shops and whatnot, to get some fresh air and all that kind of stuff before before that as well. Are you guys talking about Indiana Jones film? Yeah, Indiana Jones is a great film. Great series. And A Nasty Dream. Frogful in full uniform won't say what I did. Ellie, that sounds like Nigel Farage. That's not good if you've got Nigel Farage popping up in your dreams. That's very worrying. I'm terrified as to what will possibly happen to mobility. That says there as well. 8:30 alarm, but then popped on notifications. I meant to put 30 seconds, but typed without glasses. Lol. No, don't worry about it. It's fine. Yeah. Right, let's have a look at see what some of the UK news is saying this morning. So, Rachel Reeves' high-stake autumn budget in 5 key charts. Chancellor set out tax and spending plans shaped by weak productivity, high borrowing costs, and the cost of living. Also, guys, if you want to help, there is a super chat goal this morning. If anybody wants to contribute to that for this, I would also be appreciated as well. Remember, I don't monetize my live streams, so I don't make any money from live streams, guys, unless people give super chats. But that's just for reference there. Rachel Reeves is facing a shortfall against her physical rules. I need to find the analysis piece from. I think there's an analysis piece from Sky News we might get to actually that we might look at. OBR's consistently overestimated UK's poverty growth. Previous forecasts, March forecasts, yeah. Actual productivity since 2008. UK borrowing costs, UK, US, and Germany. Yeah, our borrowing is much higher, but it's not as bad as other countries. There are much worse countries in borrowing than us, to be fair there. Much higher than us, to be fair there. Just having a look. Taxes week is hammered by Labour's manifesto tax promises there. Interesting there. Costs of living. UK inflation is running almost twice at 2%. Contribution to CPI inflation percentage points there. Fuel and lubrications, electricity, gas, food service, other goods there. CPI inflation, 2% target, 3.8%. Bank staff projections, what they're projecting in the future. Good morning, Witchy Goth. Hope you are doing well. How are you this morning? A UK budget to target cost of living crisis of risk battles to keep Labour MPs on side. 3 more ex-pupils at school with Nigel Farage reject banter claims. So some ex-pupils have come out and attacking Farage, saying it wasn't banter. This was an interesting story. It's coming up as a short video, but I'm just going to touch on it here, guys, because I do think it's a fascinating one. So Dario Lamy is considering scrapping jury trials for all but the most serious cases. Senior lawyers criticised Justice Secretary's radical plans for England and Wales, saying it could destroy justice system as we know it. I feel like this is a kind of like sounds like to me the government's way of not wanting to put the money, the time and the effort in to actually fix the justice system before the Conservatives buggered it up. And I don't like that. And it sounds to me like they're trying desperately to look at alternative means of getting past things here. Scrapping jury trials from cases that aren't that serious. I don't like this. I think it just means that they're trying to get out of doing something that I think is very, very important. I do think this is still very, very important. I know there's a backlog. I know it's going to take time to clear the backlog. I accept that, and I know there's not enough. I know that there's not enough places as well, because some of the buildings have been shut down as well because of the austerity as well. I know there are a lot of factors into this, but I think this is a bit too radical. I think this is a bit too radical here, personally. I don't think it's a good idea. It is under a lot of strain. Yeah, that is true. It is under a lot of strain. I do accept that. I just don't think this is the solution. I think scrapping the jury trials is not a good idea, because everyone needs to have their day in court. Millions of UK workers to get pay rises. Reeves plans to increase minimum wage. Like I said, I'm not going to scream and shout this morning because I need to save my voice for today. But I will say this: it doesn't matter the increase in minimum wage. I really mean this, because as long as we are getting increases in our bills, which we are currently still, it doesn't make a difference. it doesn't matter if you get an increased pay package if a lot of your increase in pay package is going straight into paying off your bills. So while of course I always say this, I welcome an increase in minimum wage. I welcome for opportunity for more people to get money back in their pockets. It's not going to fix people's lives. It's not going to fix the problem of putting more money in their pockets. If bills were frozen, I would have a different. If bills were frozen and an increase in minimum wage, I would give a massive thumbs up and a massive approval to the government and what they're doing here, because you are directly helping people in this cost of living crisis, but you're not freezing bills. You're freezing rail fares in England, which is great, but you're not bridging the gap between the wages and bills. And that's something that needs to be tackled. And until you tackle that issue and accept that issue, you're not fixing the problem. Again, like, very happy about the increase in minimum wage, but it's not going to fix everything, guys. Rachel Reeves expected to scrap 300 million in tax breaks for mobility schemes there. Discussed that quite vehemently yesterday, to be fair. Plaque signals found at 84% of UK sites in special scientific interest. That's very scary indeed. Excessive restraints in immigration detention centres, deeply concerning, a report finds there. That's not nice. Fireworks feared inside London warehouse as 150 firefighters tackle a major blaze there. 50 higher education providers at risk of exiting market in England, MPs have been told as well. Going to the forest today, going to try have a long one. I think that will cheer me up a bit. Well, the good news is, Witchy, depending what, if you're going this morning, which I would hope you are, that's the good time to go. A bit more later in the afternoon, there is a rainstorm coming over, which will hit. So I do recommend, I'm assuming you're going this morning for a run. Do it by this morning or midday, because there is going to be a rainstorm coming over later on in the day. Because obviously you don't want to be running when it's pissing down with rain. I'm pretty sure you're aware of that anyway, to be fair. But yeah, it's mainly like, yeah, it's I mean, it's a bit chilly, but temperatures are going to be going up as well. For those who didn't see the weather, temperatures are going to be going up when it's actually warm rain, because it's actually increasing the temperature. You'll notice it tonight that when you go to bed, it's actually going to be warmer than it has been last night, believe it or not. I didn't start it. Starmer apologises for touched on that yesterday. I didn't start it. Starmer apologises for 6-7 uproar during school visit. I mean, come on, guys. Let's just get... dear, oh dear. And the third one way there as well. I'm going this morning. Yes. Yeah. Enjoy the run. It's going to be enjoy the run. Yeah, you'll be fine. You're not gonna. The weather's not going to affect you for sure. Yeah, it should be a good run for you. Let's have a look at Sky News. I think have they got an analysis piece here? I do want to play the analysis piece here. Oh, that's 11 minutes. That's quite a lot. Have you got a lesser? Have you got? I don't really. I just want the one where he's at the. Hold on 1 second, guys. Let me see if I can find the one that I was looking for. There was one that there was one that Sky Analysis had that that they had was quite fascinating. I wanted to play for you guys anyway before we go into the budget later on today. Them and their bloody adverts, I know. Oh, I've muted the desktop audio, that's why you can't hear it. Let's have a listen.
That was the last budget, the moment where Rachel Reeves came out and said, look, I've got all these taxes I want to raise, but that's kind of it. That's all the bad news. And from here on, it's kind of sunlit uplands thereabouts. So how's it come to this? How's it come to the fact that we've got a budget coming up, which could well be even worse in terms of tax raising than the last one. Well, let me show you what we're talking about here. And the key thing you've got to remember here is there's two things that are overshadowing everything when it comes to the UK economy and the fiscal situation right now. And the first of them is the fact that the economy isn't doing as well as a lot of people had hoped at this period. This is showing you productivity and how much has kind of gone up in recent years. That was true at 2008. At that point, it looked like maybe it was just going to carry on rising and rising and rising. And of course, we know what happened next. It didn't. It basically flatlined. And that's kind of where we are at the moment. And the gap between where we might have been and where we are now is 23%. We are, as a nation, 23% poorer. And that has a bearing on the public finances as well as all of our wallets, because we're all paying less in the way of tax because we're not as well off. And there's a bit of a hole in the public finances. And one of the things we're going to get from the Office of Budget Responsibility is a kind of a new assessment for what they think that line is going to do in the future. And it doesn't look like that's going to be brilliant for Rachel Reeves. The other factor overshadowing everything else is the fact that last time around, the Chancellor said she was going to do all of these things like improving the welfare state, cutting things like winter fuel allowance, all of that. And she hasn't been able to pull it off. And as a result of that, when you look at the spending in the coming years on everything like from the pension to universal credit to other forms of welfare, these bars are just going up and up and up. This is just into the future. So those two things together, extra spending on things like welfare and then less money coming in tax revenues, those overshadow everything else. And that kind of helps explain why this might be one of those kind of miserable budgets. And when I say miserable, here's one way of looking at it, OK? What this chart is showing you is in each budget, going back to 2010 and the period of George Osborne, how much extra splurging was done by the government and how much kind of cutting back, so squeezing was done. And the squeezing, sometimes it's through tax rises, sometimes it's through spending cuts. So, for instance, just to kind of go back a bit through history, George Osborne, austerity, all those spending cuts, that's why these bars are in the kind of pink bit there, underline. That's austerity there. And then, lo and behold, right, why is that up there? It's because there was an election in 2015 and George Osborne suddenly came out and says, oh, I think we'll actually spend lots of money. And then the election happened and then you're back to kind of what you might call austerity after it. Or, for instance, just more recently, COVID, big splurge, and then money came back. So extra taxes after COVID with national insurance going up, health and social care levy it was called. The mini-budget happened, and then, of course, Jeremy Hunt stepped in as Chancellor and said, no, we've got to raise taxes to try and pay for the mess that we have at the moment. So that's kind of, you know, a bit of recent history. And there was the budget in 2024, that moment that Rachel Reeves stood outside of number 11. A lot of extra spending. So there were taxes that were levied there, but also quite a lot of extra spending on things like investments. That was the spring statement earlier this year. And the big question now is, where's this bar going to go? And based on what we've been hearing about, it sounds like there might well be something like £35 billion worth of measures, for which read mostly tax rises, that she's going to do. And if that's the case, that bar is what we're talking about. And it's worth just kind of taking a step back and looking at what this means. So if you ignore things like the post-mini-budget period or post-COVID, this actually would be one of the biggest squeezes that we've had since the George Osborne austerity period. Now, admittedly, done through tax rises rather than through spending cuts, but all the same, it gives you a sense of the gravity of what we're talking about, potentially. No one knows for sure what's going to be coming there, but that's kind of, you know, 35 billion seems like a relatively conservative estimate of what they're talking about. But here's where we get to the kind of interesting detail. How is that actually going to be achieved? How do you raise £35 billion? Well, it seems like a big part of the answer for this government is going to be fiscal drag. Now, fiscal drag is a bit of a drag to explain, I'm afraid, but I've got to think, you know, perhaps the best way of visualising it so you get a sense of actually why this is a really big deal. And it's known, you know, some people call it a stealth tax. You'll see why it really is quite a big stealth tax. This is showing you, just in recent years, the median income in the UK before tax. So you can see it goes up and up and up to where it is at the moment, kind of over £30,000. And here is the personal allowance. Now, that's really important because that is the point at which you start paying income tax. So anything below that line is untaxed income. You get to keep all of that bit. Anything above the line, well, that's your tax. So that's taxed income. And here's what's kind of critical here. Look at the fact that under the coalition, the red line was going up, wasn't it? You can see how it's going up. And so the kind of slug here, the amount between the two, the red-pink bit here, was actually getting a little bit smaller over time. You were getting to keep more of your money there. But then in recent years, that line has been frozen. So basically, kind of over the last kind of 5 years or so, that has been frozen, and that line has gone up. So people have been getting better off.
So this is when I say about putting more money in people's pockets. This is a great example. This graph is actually a great example of pointing it out about how we need to put more money in people's pockets. And I've said that increasing minimum wages is all well and good, but it's not putting more money in people's pockets if we're still having to pay an increase in our bills here. And I really do think there. Tax rises are not austerity. It's easy to. It depends what taxes as well, though. To be fair, One Angry Pagan. Yeah. Do I call this austerity? No, but I don't personally call it austerity. But it definitely is not a budget that is helping people. I feel that is helping people enough.
And as they get better off, comparatively more of their money gets taxed. It's not, by the way, just the median household we're talking about.
No, you're absolutely right. Taxes are not bad, but it depends what taxes as well. There are good taxes. There are some taxes that are unnecessary, but the taxes are a good thing because obviously taxes what make the world go round, and people on the right don't want any taxes. They want everything to. They don't want any taxes whatsoever. So I do agree with that point there.
So even if you go up to the very wealthiest, so the top 1% of the population, they have been getting wealthier even more quickly than the median household, and they have been taxed on it as their earnings have gone up. And
so this graph is designed to tell people the rich are paying their fair share of tax. That's what this graph is designed to make it look like here. You look at that graph and it makes you think, oh, they're paying quite a fair share of tax. They're not paying their fair share of tax, guys.
Part of what explains the fact that actually an increasing amount of the total amount of tax paid in the UK is actually paid by the top 10%, 1%. It's down to the fact partly that they've got higher tax rates, but partly also that they're dragged into all of these different tax bands much more quickly than previously would have been the case. Anyway, back to this. Here's what's important about this budget. It seems basically nailed on that the Chancellor is going to extend that period of the freeze for another couple of years. And if that happens, look at those lines. So that, you know, one is making presumptions about earnings increasing, and then that staying like that. If that happens, then you've got this big slug of extra money that's taxed.
We'll have to leave it there. But that's what I meant about, like I'm not good when it comes to numbers and economics, as you guys know. But what I have said is that I really want to make it clear is that while I welcome, of course, increasing minimum wage and certain, there are going to be some introductions of certain taxes that we don't know about that's going to come in this budget. That may be helpful, and let's hope that there is a removal of the 2-child benefit cap as well. I'm worried that she's going to impose some things that are going to really upset a lot of people as well. But we will cover it all in 3 hours' time, guys, because it's gone over 9 o'clock. I need to make the most of the 3 hours between now and Prime Minister's questions and the budget, because for those who are here, a reminder, I will be covering Prime Minister's questions and the budget live here on this channel. So if you do keep your turn on your notifications if you haven't already here on this channel. So I will have I'll be covering it all in full here. So I need to head out. Guys, as much as I wanted to carry on listening to that here. But obviously no super chats or gifted memberships today for this live stream. Hopefully I'll get some during the Prime Minister's questions and the budget. But I want to say thank you to everyone who came along this morning. Thank you guys for all your comments. Appreciate those who got up early to listen to the Good Morning Show. I really do appreciate it. Like I said, not only am I covering Prime Minister's questions and the budget, but I'm also going to be live streaming again tonight at 8 p.m. So if you guys want to join me for that, feel free to do so. But on your way out, if you can, please hit that like button, share this across social media, subscribe if you haven't to already. You can also check out Rumble and Patreon. There'll be additional content on those platforms as well. And feel free to join our Discord community as well. Link for it is down in the description. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.